Hey, is your motivation waning? Is is whether if people don't work with you, does that like demotivate you? If you have a bunch of like conversations or coaching sessions, like trial coaching sessions with somebody, and then they end up not working with you, does that make you want to not have as many conversations moving forward? If you are basically if you're experiencing like rejection, does that make you like want to quit or take a nap or just slow way down? Does that really affect you? How much energy you put into your business. Does if you have a motor to like like in basketball they talk about these players that have like motor. That means they're like hustling, they're running really fast. If there's like a rebound, the ball's bouncing this way, they have like a high motor to like grab it. If the ball's on the ground, called a loose ball, they have a high motor to like dive for it. And sometimes it's throughout the game there's people that don't have as much of a motor and they're like losing energy and they're not playing as hard, but the motor players are like playing even harder by the end. So in business you have a motor too, but it seems like a lot of times the motor is like not on. If a bunch of these like negative things happen. So you might have a long time client and they've worked with you for a really, really long time and they pay you like every month and then they stop wanting to work with you. Are they complete? Or sometimes you're out of favor with them. Sometimes they've run out of money. Sometimes they have a different direction they want to go in. And sometimes they just feel complete. They don't want to work with you anymore because they don't need to, or it's not. They feel more self-sufficient. Whatever the reason is, if any of those excuses come up, does it demotivate you? I mean, not excuse. Do you use that as an excuse to demotivate you? Um, so, are you really tied to the outcome? So you know this because you gain energy when something good happens. That's like the basketball player. Like if the shots are going in, they have a high motor. Then they're like rebounding like crazy. Then they're like diving for loose balls. Then they're in the defensive stances longer. Then they're like sprinting and jumping and doing everything like running circles around the other players. Why? Because the basketball was going in instead of out. But if it goes out, they stop like running as fast, even a little bit. So do you notice just a little bit of demotivation when this stuff happens? If you've had a really good streak of success, can you tell that you're more energized? And that's dangerous if you get on a losing streak and then you're like, where are you? Now you're hiding. Now you want to like do other things. A person asks you to go to lunch and you'll say yes. If somebody wants to watch a movie and you're like, I'll do that. And I won't work on the business because you're still thinking about all these people that don't work with you. So this happens to all coaches. It happens to me. What we want to do is have a high motor all the time. Like that's the way of being. That's the person that you are. You're going to have a lot of conversations in your business. You're going to reach out to people. You're going to nurture your relationships, even if no one wants to work with you. Even if you're on a long losing streak. Sometimes people are really close to working with you, and that gets you down. Like they're like, oh, because somebody reaches out to you, so excited to work with you, so like they express that they're like, oh my god, I resonate with you so much, I really can't wait to work with you. How do we do it? And then you give them a conversation a discovery call or just a free coaching session, and then they have that, and then they don't like you anymore. They're like, oh, I actually don't want to work with you. And that sometimes is worse than if they just would have never reached out to you at all and you were just hearing crickets. So you want to recognize is there are things like that, like then really bringing you down. It's like because it was you're so excited, then it looked like you were gonna like win, and then it was like taken away from you, and then you're like, I don't feel like doing business activities. We want so what do we do? What's the secret? How do I not lose motivation even if that happens? Well, you have to be motivated based on process activities. Like you're like, well, I don't really care if I get rejected because I just am obsessed with making proposals. Or you can be obsessed with reaching out to people. You can be obsessed with these trial coaching sessions. You can be obsessed with chemistry sessions, if that's how you do it. You can be obsessed with nurturing relationships. You can be obsessed with sending people resources. Or you could be obsessed with getting in dialogues with people via text or email. You could be obsessed with doing content creation, doing helpful articles, or writing heartfelt messages to people. You could be obsessed with that. You could be obsessed with just making products or courses. Whether they buy them or not, you're just like, but I got to make another one because it's my thing. And then even if they don't sell, you're like, well, but I'm so into making this thing. It's like artists. They sometimes are so passionate about art. They could just keep making it over and over and over. And you throw their whole collection away. And they're like, well, I know what I'm doing in the morning. Like they're making more and more and more. They're like, what do you do when one is done? Then they make another one. And like they could all pile up. They could have an art show. No one buys any of it. But it doesn't matter because they're still going to be like making a lot of art. There's writers like that too. They write book after book after book. Screenwriters, screenplay after screenplay after screenplay. No one wants that one. Well, good thing I'm like writing another one right now. Good thing I already have, I know what I'm doing next week too. I'm going to be writing a screenplay. You always know what they're doing because they're just obsessed with it. So you could be like that as a coach. They're like, well, what is Nathaniel going to do next week? No matter if he gets 500 rejections, he's going to do the same thing. Reach out to new people or reach out to people to nurture relationships, invite people to conversations, connection calls, invite people directly to coaching sessions, sometimes directly asking people to work with me. So that process is not going to stop just because I didn't get what I wanted. So we don't always get what we want. We can't control that, but we can control how much we show up, and you can control our motivation level. Like you can just make a stand right now. My motivation level is not decreasing. If anything, it will increase. But the motivation level is not something that I depend on other people to give me. They're not going to give me my gas for myself. That's another thing, another phrase they use with basketball players. Like they got a lot of gas. Even if they played a lot of minutes in the game, they still have a lot of gas. You can be a coach with a lot of gas. You're constantly pouring in your own gas. You're having intrinsic motivation. You like things because they always give you stuff. You're always getting. So you're not even so worried about what you didn't get because you're obsessed with what you're getting. A writer is obsessed with how much joy and pleasure and pride they have when they write. They love words. They love the way their brain works. They love paper and pen or typewriters or computers, and they love the process. They love everything about it. They love the environment. They love the routine. They love going to the coffee shop and sitting down and bringing the laptop and opening it up and working. And they're obsessed with that. They would never want to give that up just because somebody didn't buy their book or because that book wasn't a hit. This is something that you have a way more control of than you think. You're like, no, I'm just a slave to this. My mind is, it's not under my control. If somebody doesn't want to work with me, I'm just automatically going to lose energy. And I'm a slave to that. I can't help it. But do have control over that. And you need this reminder for me, and you need to set the intention that you're not going to be that way. And that there's lots and lots of reasons to do your business activities no matter what. Now, I'm not talking about not having breaks. I'm like, yeah, you're having breaks. You can take naps. You could do other things. But you want to get back to your thing. Not because you've had a lot of success and then oh, I want to go back in because I keep getting a lot of yeses. You want to get back in because you just love the thing. And everything has these lovable aspects that you can focus on. So I recommend you practice that. What are the advantages? I love that word. What are the advantages and the benefits if I make content? If I make a video, I get a lot out of it. There's an advantage of me. It's gonna you could say it gives me energy. Anyway, that's my message, and if you have any questions about this, talk to me about it. Okay, cool.